For a decade, I've been exploring the world in search of extraordinary tea. My name is Sebastian Beckwith. My travels have taken me to verdant hills of Sikkim, to the temples of Kyoto, and to the highest points of Sri Lanka. I've learned about the nuances of tea from a tea master in Taiwan, and how to prepare delicate green teas from a Japanese grower whose family traditions date back 800 years. I've visited hill tribe farmers in the jungles of southern China, where the tea plant was discovered thousands of years ago by a Chinese scholar who is obsessed with medicinal plants and farming. It is an amazing fact that all tea comes from one plant, the Camellia sinensis plant, which is a relative of the camellia flower. Tea is endless. The nuances of the flavor and aroma reflect the origin, specific plant varietal, and how the fresh leaves are prepared. Tea plays an integral role in cultures throughout the world. Thoughts of tea often take us to Europe, with England's famous high tea, or the beautiful salon de thés on Paris's left bank. In Asia, the rituals range from the formal Japanese tea ceremony to the practice of gung fu cha, multiple infusions of a lot of leaf drunk from thimble-sized teacups. This is popular in southern China and Hong Kong. In Burma, after being buried and fermented in the earth for months, the leaves are eaten with peanuts, dried shrimp, and garlic. Special teas that are traditionally handmade are the ones that interest me and my friends at In Pursuit of Tea, a company I helped start in 1999. Those teas are disappearing because the market is looking for famous name teas, usually mass-produced. We select teas from small producers throughout Asia and make them available to friends and tea lovers around the world through the internet and at select restaurants. I often compare tea to wine. With both, there are so many regions and styles that it boggles your mind. The appreciation and enjoyment of tea in Asia rivals that of wine in Europe. Differences in both wine and tea depend on the varietal of the plant and the way that it's processed, as well as the terroir, the taste of the ground or region. The tea plant itself is evergreen. The new growth, the small leaves and unopened leaf buds, are the most sought after for the finer teas. Most tea is mechanically harvested, but hand-picked or hand-sorted teas are what we look out for, so the leaves are of the highest grade. Herbal teas are actually not tea, but flowers and leaves of various plants that generally don't contain caffeine. This distinction is commonly known in Europe, where herbals are known as tisanes and infusions. The tea plant comes from the jungles of Southeast Asia, not far from the Golden Triangle, and the boundaries of what is now southern China, Laos, Burma, and Assam, India. The world's oldest tea plants are found there, often picked and maintained by local ethnic tribes who process tea according to their traditions. They sell excess leaf to factories and brokers, and tea from these old trees now commands a high price. Before becoming popular in Europe, tea spread northward through China and into Korea and Japan. Just as wine spread across Europe with Catholicism, tea kept the Buddhist monks awake as they spread their message through the Orient. Local customs led to regionally distinct traditions of tea preparation and appreciation. This accounts for the many ways that tea is enjoyed throughout Asia and Europe. The practice of drinking tea was brought to the West by the Dutch and other early European traders. China briefly closed her ports to the Europeans when profits from tea grew and diplomacy became messy. The Chinese demanded gold and silver bullion for the tea, which was draining the coffers of Europe. The balance of power shifted starting in 1840, when the Opium Wars opened more ports of trade for the Europeans. They were then able to break China's monopoly on tea by introducing and cultivating the plant in other regions, such as India and Sri Lanka. Specific regions are famous for different teas. Assam, India is known for its malty and robust breakfast teas. Uji, Japan for its bittersweet emerald green teas. and intoxicating floral aromas are found in the high-grown oolongs of Taiwan. The spectrum of tea, starting with the least processed, includes white, green, oolong, black, and Pu-erh tea. White tea comes from the Fujian province of China, directly across from Taiwan. It's been produced here for generations using a specific varietal native to this region. Traditionally, it's just picked and air-dried, although these days the teas are often oven-dried to increase output. The famous Yinzhen silver needle is harvested in early spring, when the big silver buds are picked before they open into leaves, and yields a tea that is very light and delicate. The more savory white peony includes silver buds as well as the new small leaves picked several weeks later. All other teas, from green to Pu-erh, are heated at exact times to stop oxidation, since the leaf immediately starts to change as soon as it's picked, like an apple that begins to turn brown after being cut. The heat kills the enzymes that control the change, so there's a precise moment appropriate for each type of tea. Green teas are heated shortly after picking, locking flavor into the tiny green leaves. The leaves are either steamed or thrown into a dry, hot wok for a few minutes. They don't burn because of the moisture in the leaf and the constant movement by the tea maker. Green teas like Longjing, Sencha, and Matcha tend to be more vegetal and grassy than the white teas. My favorite category is oolong. Oolong teas are made from larger, more mature leaves and have a wide range of flavors and aromas. It's the most complex. Flavors range from high floral notes like lilac and honeysuckle to stronger flavors of fruit like peach and apricot. The most oxidized oolongs have a rich flavor with a charcoal finish. There are notes of caramelized sugar, honey, and dried fruit. Local competitions in places like Fujian and Guangdong provinces in China and in Taiwan are held where the most famous oolongs are grown. Black tea, or red tea as it's known in Asia, is made from leaves that are fully oxidized, which is the best way to describe the transformation of the green leaf to black tea. Historically, these teas were described as fully fermented. These teas, like Assam, Ceylon Orange Pekoe, Darjeeling, and English Breakfast, are stronger and are known as breakfast teas. These are the only teas that can take milk, as they have the strength and tannins to balance the fat in the milk. Some teas are reprocessed with something like an oil, a flavor, a flower, or an herb added in. Bergamot oil is used in Earl Grey. With higher grade jasmine, the scent from flowers is absorbed into the base tea. Lower grades of these teas might use diluted synthetic oils applied to base teas that are several years old. Pu-erh tea, or black tea as it's known in Asia, is post-fermented. It's made from a large leaf varietal which grows in the jungles of Yunnan province in southwestern China. After the leaves are made into green or black tea, they're placed in large, damp piles and left to ferment for several weeks. Pu-erh teas are compressed into many forms, including cakes and bricks. The flavor is rich and gains complexity over time, so Pu-erhs are aged for decades and command a high price. Thanks for watching this introduction to the world of tea. Each season, I find new flavors and nuances in teas that I thought I knew well. I encourage you to experiment and to seek out new teas as you make this ritual a part of your life.